Not specifically. I try to stay generally within the kinds of harmonies and rhythms and modulations that they would do at that time. It got a little out of control. It got a little chromatic, and I went to some distant keys. It was okay. I usually leave a yarn behind me, and I can find my way back. But I'm not trying to sound like Beethoven or do anything that I consciously quote from Beethoven. It's just stuff that's in my head in that style. Just like conversing with you now, I'm just borrowing the language that's stored up in me from my life in the Midwest. I'm not thinking, sound like you're from Michigan. I'm not trying to, it's what's in there. So, no, it's actually, it gets more difficult if you try to emulate a specific composer, because very quickly you go over the edge and just start quoting material exactly, rather than trying to keep it a little bit free and not specific to one person. Yeah, that's a tricky question, because people without good classical chops can't improvise this stuff, because you have to do it without practicing. It's hard enough with practicing. It's harder without. So there are certain things I do practice. Like I need to know the themes. I need to know all the intervals of the themes. And just generally, I have a lot of figurations that are on the shelf that I can just use. That fit various styles. And so those, if I've not practiced this piece, I've practiced most of these moves in some context. And the nice thing about improvisation is you get to choose which moves. So you can choose ones that you know will work and are not awkward with stretches and tension and stuff. But every now and then you get yourself in a little corner where you realize you had this cool idea, but that would actually take a week of practicing to do that. And I've never tried it before, so quickly I'm going to divert and play something else, because that would be a train wreck. So yeah, that is the case. I've actually worked with some jazz pianists who, because they never had technical training, and they're always playing a different thing every time they come to the piano, they develop a technique that is built around their own idiosyncrasies. And a great example of this is Thelonious Monk, who built not only his playing technique, his whole compositional style is built around his personal weirdness. And so he does it really well because he's the weirdest one. But if you look at him play and you imagine him trying to do Mozart, you realize it would be really, really bad. So I've worked with some jazz pianists who wanted to broaden and not only sound like themselves, but have more of this technique. So that is all to say, I actually practice scales, arpeggios, Chopin etudes, Scriabin etudes, Rachmaninoff preludes. I keep a repertoire of that stuff going just to stay honest, because I'm worried I'd be so nice to myself I'd forget how to do anything hard, because you don't have to, right? You can always cheat. So I try to keep myself a little bit honest. So that, yeah, it's a complicated question. I've never refined anything.
Okay.
I've transcribed a couple of things kind of for another purpose. Somebody wanted it, or I had a reason. But in general, I don't, because I really value the ephemeral quality of what we're doing right now. Okay, so these pieces, I'm not going to play these again. This is it. This is one time. It's only for you. And that makes me very happy. To give you something like that. Is it life-changing? No. Still, it makes me happy. There's a lot of pieces I play over and over again. I'm glad about that too. But the art form of being, you just do it and it's only for these people and then it's gone, I kind of value that. Also, it takes too long to transcribe. And I have other things I have to do, so that's why I'm not going to make like a book of Mortensen or something. I'm not going to do it. Are you learning the piano?
Yes.
How much do you practice? 15 minutes. 15 minutes a year? 15 minutes a day? Okay, I usually am at the piano 3 or 4 hours a day. Depending on, some days I teach all day, but other days I might even be 5 or 6 hours. But at least 2. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of time. I am sorry to ruin your day and to give your mother so much ammunition. At least give her ice cream. I don't really know. I mean, the best advice I ever heard about music is play what you want to hear. And that's really 2 parts, because there's the play and the what you want to hear. So if you don't know what you want to hear, you can't play what you want to hear. So what's your job? Go find out what you want to hear. Go educate yourself. Go find out what's out there. Find out what makes you come alive. What do you want to hear? And then when we are working and practicing, I need to critique myself. I need to listen to myself, or get somebody else to, with objective ears and an honest vocabulary, to tell me if I'm really doing it. Because we can fool ourselves playing music. We think we sound amazing, and maybe it's not all amazing. So is it really what I want to hear? And if I know what I want to hear, but I'm struggling physically, I can't do it, now that's my homework now, is working on that technical side, the chops. And that always gets you a way forward. Just play what you want to hear. Sometimes your teacher gives you stuff you don't want to hear. Just do it, because you'll outgrow it. But I think I'm going to play best if it's music I really love and believe in. I'm not trying to sound like somebody else. But it wasn't a conscious thought. And actually, a lot of the stuff that I do, I watch out that I do it too much, and I try not to do it. Just to develop, Like I keep telling the same knock-knock joke at every party, and I realize I'm boring. I'm going to go learn some new jokes, okay? So I critique my own playing a lot. Yeah, you can't stop. You can't burst into tears. Can't flee the room, right? The show must go on. So fortunately, almost all the time, there's some musical device or technique that will keep the time going and will buy you some time and will sound appropriate. Okay, that might be kind of a cadenza or a pedal point or a riff or a groove or a sequence. I mean, it could be anything. And those all have to be ready for emergencies, because one does run out of ideas. But you can't admit that. I can admit it verbally to you, but I won't admit it musically, because that would be not taking good care of the audience. Okay?